I'm Lucy Gannon. I live in St Dogmell's in the vestry on the High Street. I'm a mum and a grandma and a dog owner. I'm sort of semi-retired. I'm not sure if I'm retired, but I think I'm retired. I suppose that most of all, I like studying the Bible. I like going to church. I like having fun with friends. I like having people around. I like being with young people. I like paddling in the sea. I like walking my dogs. That's about it, really. And I quite like the West Wing.
My name's Cassie and I live in Cardigan. I like being with the youth and just hanging around, chilling. In this next year, I'll be doing an internship at Mount Zion. I'm looking forward to doing it and studying God's Word and yeah.
We were living in South Africa, my husband and I. We had a little girl, 4 years old, and it was my second marriage. I'd made a mess of my first marriage, and I was making a mess of my second marriage. I'd had quite a rough childhood, quite a difficult childhood, and I think I sort of carried that with me through both marriages. But one day there was a knock on the door, and a Canadian woman came with a plate of brownies, and we sat chatting, and she invited me to the church, and I went to the church, thinking it was just somewhere to go on a Sunday morning in a sort of a lonely expat's life. And my life really was pretty lonely and wretched at that time. And I heard preaching about Christ, about an eternal love. The sermon I heard that really sort of changed my life was about the Garden of Gethsemane, when Christ was in the Garden of Gethsemane and had to choose between his way or God's way, and he chose God's way, and that really had a huge effect on me. And it was shortly after that I gave my life to Christ, and it was pretty wonderful, and it is still pretty wonderful. But then I turned my back on him for 30 years. I got busy with other things. I became very successful in worldly terms. The marriage was saved thanks to Christ. My husband became a Christian as well, and we had 10 good years together, really good years together. But then he died very suddenly. And still I didn't return to Christ. I just wandered on my own way, and I would have said to anyone, yes, I'm a Christian, and I would occasionally pick up the Bible and read it, and I would occasionally say prayers, but Christ wasn't the centre of my life. My work was the centre of my life, and my daughter was the centre of my life. And then I went to a church in Cardigan, and I heard a sermon, and part of the sermon was, "Are you leading a holy life?" And I thought, wow, that's what I wanted to lead 30 years ago. And that is what I have never managed to lead. And I think I sort of gave my life again to the Lord and said, I really want to give my life to you this time. I really want to live for you. And since then, my life has been transformed, absolutely transformed. Work, I won't say it's nothing to me, but it's taken a different place in my life. The joy is indescribable. The hunger for God's word is indescribable. The assurance is indescribable. It's just been fantastic. And I look back at those 30 years and think, wow, what I missed. I think for the last 30 years, I'm a writer. And if somebody asked me what my days were like, I would say, oh, every day is different and exciting. But I don't think I really understood what excitement was. My days are completely different now. Every day is different. Yeah, I wake with Jesus in my mind and Jesus on my tongue. Sometimes there'll be problems that pop up in life and I get a bit horrible, like we all get a bit horrible. And I realise that when I'm horrible, it's because I haven't thought about Christ. And as soon as I call on him for help, some of the horribleness goes and he's there. And it's just, I keep on looking back at those 30 years. What a waste of time. I've wasted a life, and I don't want anybody else to waste a life as I've wasted mine.
I got invited to a youth club by a friend, and then I was going to youth club for a few years, and then I went on this Mount Zion do this summer camp for youth, and there's loads of kids that go from all over the country. Camp changed the way I thought about things, because you're in an environment with Christians for a whole week and you see that there's something different about those people that you're with, and it shows that they have something that you don't have. That camp, I started thinking deeper and why I wasn't a Christian and why, like, trying to fight against it. And then in the October, I realised that there was no point fighting it because it's what I needed. Like, I needed Jesus to come into my life. Before I was a Christian, I was not well behaved. I didn't care about anything. I had no hope. I didn't focus on anything. I kind of given up on everything. School, I didn't really care about. And then when I became a Christian, it didn't all change straight away. It was a process, and it's still an ongoing process. But I started to behave more, and just cared about other people and the way I treated and spoke to them. Before I became a Christian, I struggled with having a purpose in life and, like, not really belonging in the world. And then after I became a Christian, I realised that God had a plan for my life and a purpose, and it was for good and not for bad, and that there was actually someone who cared. In this next coming year, I'll be doing an internship focused on youth work, and I just love seeing the kids and being able to share Jesus with them, because some of them have no hope and come from, like, broken families or not good home situations, and they have no hope like I did, and I just want to be able to share Jesus with them.
I know that all the churches in Cardigan are welcoming, that ours isn't the only one, but our church, Mount Zion, is the one that I know about, so I can't help but talk about it. And the people there, I found the people so fantastic, so welcoming, so warm, so funny, so awkward, so real. People with real problems, people with real griefs in their lives, people in mourning, people full of life and joy. Just a fantastic, fantastic group of people from all walks of life, all ages, all ambitions, you know. And I look at my next few years, however long God gives me, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, and that's exciting. But you look at the people in the church and you think you don't know what God's going to do with those years, and that's even more exciting.